Remember Dragnet? They asked for just the facts, ma'am. Well, here's a fact that's frightening. Coronary heart disease is the leading cause of death among men and women in the United States. To help us solve this puzzling case, we've brought in our medical detective, Dr. Christopher McCoy. Dr. McCoy is an interventional cardiologist in the Heart and Vascular Center at Metro Health. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, first let's talk about a heart attack. Describe what happens to the heart during a heart attack.
So basically a heart attack is caused by atherosclerotic buildup in the arteries. And when one of these arteries plaques ruptures, the artery becomes completely blocked and the muscle supplied by the blood through that artery that's not supplied any longer begins to die.
Ooh, okay, so that's a bad thing. Is a heart attack a random attack, or is there something going on there that you can watch for?
Yeah, sure. Heart attack is caused, again, by atherosclerosis, and that's a disease process that occurs over a long period of time. It starts when you're fairly young, even in your 20s, and depending on your lifestyle and genetics and your risk factors, the progression of it varies.
Okay, wow. So even in your 20s?
Well,
that's a scary thought.
Usually that's when it starts, but, you know, depending on what you do throughout the course of your life.
So this plaque is building up, and then what happens with the plaque?
Well, what ends up happening is that one of the plaques will rupture. There's nothing that we can specifically say that always triggers it. Certain different things can at times, stress, activity sometimes. And then when the plaque ruptures, a clot forms in the artery, and that's what causes the blockage in the artery.
Okay, so the blood clot, it's blocked. What happens at that point? You said the muscle starts to die?
Yeah, your heart muscle, like all the muscles in your body, need energy so that they can function, and your blood is the source of that energy. So when the muscle no longer gets energy, it can no longer function, and permanent damage starts to happen really within 20 minutes.
Oh, so
it's irreversible.
It's a fast. You have to get care fast, right?
Exactly.
How much time
right.
do you actually have when something happens like that?
Well, you know, if you're somebody that has risk factors for coronary artery disease, you should seek medical attention right away. The faster that you seek attention, the more heart muscle that you'll save. Heart muscle starts to die, like I said, within 20 minutes, but you know, it progressively dies at a slower rate. So, you know, usually we want to open the artery up within 90 minutes is our goal, but there's still some benefit out to 6 to 12 hours. But the faster you are able to get to a doctor to get that artery opened up, the more potential benefit you'll obtain.
Okay, so I think you told me that the people who die of heart attacks is within an hour after the symptoms appearing?
It's different for different people.
Okay.
You know, sometimes people can die right away from heart attacks, even before they get to a hospital.
So you can die almost instantly.
Yeah, you know, when you have a blockage in your artery and your heart becomes ischemic, you can go into irregular rhythms or arrhythmia, and that can lead to sudden cardiac death. You know, obviously the longer you're having ischemia for, the more likely that is to occur. The other problem that can arise from it is that if a significant part of your heart muscle dies after a heart attack, you're at a higher risk, or you're predisposed to these arrhythmias, and you're predisposed to having your heart muscle function inappropriately and developing heart failure.
Another heart attack or heart failure. Okay,
Exactly
so
right.
I know most people are aware of the symptoms, but let's go through them one more time.
Sure. So symptoms are different in different people, but the most typical symptoms people will have are a chest pain or a chest discomfort. It's usually described as a pressure, and oftentimes it radiates to your left arm or shoulder. Sometimes in women and the elderly, they may have atypical symptoms. They may only have nausea, dizziness, or shortness of breath. Sometimes just fatigue. So if you're somebody that has the right risk profile, if you're older, you're diabetic, you've been a smoker, high blood pressure, then even these other subtle changes you have to take seriously.
Okay, got to be really careful then, and get
Sure.
medical treatment as quickly as possible if you think something's going on.
Exactly, and even if you're not having a heart attack, what we do is we'll evaluate you for one. We'll do an EKG. Sometimes we'll check some blood tests. And if you're not having one, we let you go home, and you know you didn't have one. It's a lot better than the alternative.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Sure.
To successfully close the case on heart attacks, know the symptoms and respond immediately. The fact is, it is a matter of life and death. To learn more, visit www.metrohealth.org/heart, and for a free information package on heart disease, call Metro Health at 216-778-4131. My thanks to Dr. McCoy for joining us today.
Next, trash or treasure?